My name's Jordan, I'm 25 and I'm an organiser and grassroots mentor with AYCC. I'm mentoring young people in WA and Northern Territory. I first got involved in AYCC in 2017 as a volunteer and have been involved in different capacities, ebbs and flows, but yeah, I'm lucky to be in a paid capacity at AYCC at the moment, supporting awesome young people. I remember my first summer, some of my first memories of this continent were like really orange, smoky skies. And so I think I knew about sustainability and had like a really kind of care for the environment. But my first like connecting the dots of climate change were quite like seen as well and felt. The place that I went to school and grew up is largely a farming community. For me, it was like climate change wasn't just about this thing that was like impacting the environment, but actually was impacting the farming community and meant that like, you know, businesses would close when there would be a climate event or disaster. And so growing up, I saw, you know, the impacts of droughts and things like that. So I had like quite a mixed experience of learning about and hearing about and experiencing climate growing up. And yeah, it's been a journey. For me, it really changes. Sometimes it's rage at the injustice and ways that climate disproportionately impacts people. This is a really unfair issue that impacts First Nations people, people of colour, people living in the global south, way more than like other people with existing privilege. And so yeah, the people who have done the least to cause this issue are the first and worst to be impacted. Yeah, this issue, I guess, like accelerates existing inequities in society. But then I transitioned into hope and, you know, seeing that this is, you know, an opportunity to actually redesign the way that we live and connect and work and play. The climate crisis and any crisis is an opportunity to like, you know, transition to a world that's fairer and more equal and more just. So sometimes I feel, you know, really like empowered and strength and like a real sense of solidarity across issues that, you know, all interconnect with climate. And then sometimes I feel really overwhelmed and a lot of grief and hurt for people and loss of life, whether that be like animals going extinct, plants going extinct, and also people's livelihoods too. And grief for like our future. A big part of the work that AYCC does is actually going into schools and delivering school workshops on climate justice and getting involved and how to kind of work with those feelings of hopelessness. And we're hearing like from right across the continent, from teachers, from students, that people are really struggling like with these feelings and this feeling of like just overwhelm. I think for me, a big part of it, like personally, but also in the work that we do, is actually like acknowledging what's happening. That like it's really normal to feel rage, overwhelm, like avoidance as well, because we're going through like multiple compounding crises, cost of living, the climate crisis, what we're seeing in Palestine and Lebanon. All of these things are really connected and are happening all at once. And I think that like actually just like letting yourself off the hook a bit for feeling big feelings and acknowledging them and then moving through them with people, whether it's like in your community or a mental health therapist. Like I think don't be afraid to like talk about climate and the ways that it's impacting your mental health when you like have access to mental health services. My favorite part of this work is actually like investing in young people, like building up young people's capacity to lead in their communities, to strengthen their voice, to meet with MPs, people who we elect to represent our communities, but young people are often left out of the conversation. Getting involved in community groups, in groups like AYCC, isn't just good for like alleviating that feeling of, stress or heaviness on your shoulders, and help you kind of connect with like-minded people to move through that together. But also we are going to be experiencing climate impacts. Even if we, rapidly decarbonise our economy and transition as soon as possible, like we're still going to be impacted by climate change. It's something that we're going to be living with for like several generations. And so building community is not only important for building power and mitigating the worst impacts, but also preparing for the impacts that we might feel in our communities and that we will feel in our communities. Yeah, strengthen our community bonds so that we can get through this together. Everyone has power and agency to make change in whatever it is that you're doing, in whatever capacity that is, whether it's like getting involved with Doctors for the Environment or Climate Action Now, or Nurses for Climate Action, or joining groups like the Australian Youth Climate Coalition, which is, accommodates people from 12 to 30, engaging with your politicians. We all have a stake in this. It's not just about taking individual action, right? Fossil fuel companies in this country pay very little royalties and get away quite scot-free. They get away with desecrating sacred sites, not paying much tax, and really accelerating the climate crisis. So if you're going to put any energy into the climate and making a positive impact, let it be connecting with other people in your community and pressuring politicians and big corporations to do better. Don't stress about using plastic. Don't stress about your keep cup. Corporations produce like 70% of emissions, and they're the ones we need to also have fun. I think that's the thing. This is about joy and having building community around you so that this is fun, this is part of your life.